Hi, my name is BabaCar. I'm the coordinator of the Center of Advocacy of Young People of the Republic of Senegal. We are here for participating at the summit, the UNFPA summit, to exchange, to share our experience regarding technology, the technology that has a purpose to improve, to fight against the FGM practices, and also to exchange our experience because youth nowadays are using technology, using their smartphones sometimes to just waste their time without even knowing the danger that's related to those technology. But on the other hand, they have to understand that those technology can also help them to change their environment so that these young people can have good information about issues related to FGM, issues related to child marriage, and the technology should enable us should be used as an information tools instead of being used as a wastage tools.
You're talking about training. Yeah, you're talking about training the youth and be able to include the youth in terms of training and empowering them. Yeah, but our own governments are being seen going outside to ask for investments. That means that maybe our own countries do not have enough money to invest in their own people.
Comment le gouvernement n'a pas les capacités d'investir sur ses propres personnes, ses propres fils.
Le gouvernement, tous les gouvernements européens, que ce soit américains, que ce soit africains.
You know, the government, all the government in every country, even in America or in Africa, they only create a path, only build a way, but the government cannot employ all the citizens. Even in Europe, they cannot employ all the people. Those young people who travel there, they are not supported by the European government. Even those who travel to Spain, even in America, they don't depend on the government. They depend on people who works in the private sector, even the streets. Everything they will do will serve to those private people. Now the government, what it can do is to establish, develop, or create an environment to enable those young people to believe in themselves and to work for their country. This is what is more important, not to just develop yourself, but to develop your country, because if you develop your country, that's a generation you are investing on. I worked on the issue related to child marriage, I worked on the issue related to HIV, I worked on the issue related to young girl empowerment, because we have noticed that the young girls are the most populated in our country, and most of them unfortunately don't pursue their study. They are also victims of the gender-based violence, and they are also pregnant on the young age, and they are in short, they are very vulnerable. Those are the young girls community that I'm working on, and we should be able to enable them to be educated and invest on them, because if our women is more educated, their children will be more aware and more educated, and the country will be also well educated. So our purpose is to enable them to develop their skills and live their life, and also to strengthen them. That's what we call the Young Girls Club.
Je suis le coordonnateur. Nous, on parle de coordonnateur.
In Senegal, we talk about coordinator, which is equal to a CEO, but for us, we call the word is coordinator in Senegal. It's under the department, a state department office of Senegal. That's the youth department.
La première des choses, c'est de faire comprendre aux jeunes.
The first thing that we have to tell the youth that the Africa is the motherland, and it will be only developed by the African themselves. There is no need for them to go in Europe, because what they go look for in Europe, it's what the Europeans are looking for in Africa. That's what you see. The Europeans come to get our raw material and to bring it back to their home country. So those youth must understand that the African continent will be developed only when people are working on the land, in the African land, and develop those in each country. The country itself cannot be developed. For a country to be developed is people working in their country that enable the country to develop. You know, for instance, the living wages in India and other countries are very low compared to life experience. So meaning money is not the big issue, because we have to respect our country, we have to believe on what we have and stay in our country. countries, because if everyone go to Europe, the Europe will become poor. And where are we gonna go again? Probably we'll come back again in Africa. Now who's gonna develop the Africa? No one. If millions of people are moving to go to Europe, it's like we are like reviving the slavery era, because before it was the European who were coming to pick our ancestors, to take our ancestors by force to go to in America, and nowadays it's ourselves willingly traveling to go there in Europe. Where is our dignity? Where is our humanity? So youth must know that, the African youth must know that the world was not developed in one day. It's not getting billions of money from Europe that will enable you to develop Africa. No, there's a lot of opportunity in Africa. We have to know how to take this opportunity. We must also be patient, take our time and develop, and also have a believing on your country, on our country, that will enable us to develop the Africa. I don't believe about that Europeans is better than Senegal. I believe that like Senegal is even better than Europe, is better than America, because me as a Senegalese man, I am comfortable with my family. I live with my wife, my children. That's enough for me. But now if someone want to succeed in his life, they have to work for it, because there is no way you want money and you are not willing to sacrifice your time by working. So you cannot minimize your work. Every work has a wage, has a salary. So because if we don't want to work by ourselves, every time we will be buying the ideas from Europe. So we need to sensitize, a lot of sensitization, and also our decision makers should focus coming on ground, working in the field with the youth. It's not money that will develop the country, but it's technology, is that working hard. If youth are well trained, they will stay in their country, they will create enterprises, businesses, and that enterprises, companies will compete with the European companies. This is what the Europeans did. France, for instance, don't have a land that is capable of having a large scale farming, but whatever they are doing, they took it from in Africa and then they bring it, they take it in Europe. But the question is, do we believe in ourselves? Do we believe in development? Those are the questions that we must ask ourselves, and we have to wait and see.
Quelles sont les limites, bien ce que vous pouvez présenter en ce qui concerne les jeunes?
What can you say about the youth who are looking for financing, or those who have to self-invest, self-contribute themselves, those who are between looking for investment and sometimes they have to beg for financement, for fund? Do you think those are the boundaries that we should not go beyond, exceed that?
On n'a pas un problème d'emploi.
We don't have a problem about financement. We have about employment. The employment is that young people must be trained, they must have a skill, and they have now to invest on themselves. Now later on, the investment will come later, because the investments are there. But those investment organizations must look for people who are already well skilled, people who have a goal, have a vision. Because if you invest in someone who don't have a goal, a vision, what are they gonna do or develop? So young people must have an idea, must have a goal, a mission, even if he is not trained. But as long as he has a skills, he has an experience on something, this young man is able, it's easy to help him to develop, compared to one who does not have even a skills, who is not trained in some specific area. He cannot, even if he get investment, he won't be able to develop himself, because he does not know how to use the investment. And unfortunately, many young people look for investment, but they don't have skills, and they just imitate everyone. You will see young man, when he sees someone doing farming, he will try also to do farming. So that farming is not because he wanted to do that, it's just because he saw his neighbor doing farming. And you see someone is riding boda, he also want to buy a motorbike to become a boda guy. He didn't do that because that was part of his dream. No, it's just because he saw a neighbor becoming a boda guy, riding a motorbike. So this kind of attitude must stop. We are not here just to follow neighbors or what everyone is doing because it's now popular, we do it. This should not go that way. We must have a project of the society, project of the dream. Say like, this is what I want to do in the next 10 years. Those people we appreciate in Europe, they struggle themselves to reach that level. Imagine at the age of 28, as an African, you're still living in the parents. Does it make sense? I'm renting a house, I must rent a house, I must work, and as up to 30, 40, we are still in the parent and we have nothing in our bank account, even if the government give you millions of money, you won't be able to develop because you don't have the ability, the skills to do something, because working is waking up early and learning skills, it's around the age of 14, 15, even going to the university, you have to choose. Even if the government does not recruit, the fact that you already have skills, knowledge, you can create a business and work toward your businesses, and you will add value to the economy. People will come. I talk about business. Many businesses people did not have education skills, but they just gain experience in the field and they learn what people want and they go look for it and sell to them. The question is, do our young people want to do that? No. You leave your village, you stop everything, you stop your farming, you travel, you go to Europe, and yet there you are doing business, you are helping someone, farmers. So what does it mean? Why won't you using that skills to develop farming in your village you came from? So you don't want to stay with your parents, to sleep with them, and yet you say it's not good. How did your parents do to help you to grow through farming, and yet you don't want it, but you are in Europe doing the same thing, the same job? So meaning your father, your dad does not have experience. Your parent did not pay your school fee through farming. Is it what you want to tell to our children? We must enable them to understand that this is what our parents did to help us. So it's up on us now to reinforce everything we already got through our parents who have seen. What you just highlight about skills, competencies for youth, it's very important. But the fact that those young people travel, is it issue related to skills or issue related to money? Because the most time when those young people go to Europe, it's about they can go doing the same job that they were able to do that in their home, but in Europe it's like they will get more money for doing the same job. So could we say that is it what is attracting them to Europe? So toward this one, how the investment can not leverage but enable those young people, the youth, to feel comfortable at home. So the question is that traveling is based on the investment or money or competence.
C'est ça ce que je dis. Quand le paraître domine, vous perdez votre estime.
This is what I'm saying. If you want just to look like, and you lose your self-confidence. And when you lose your self-confidence, you want just to look like, you just follow others. So meaning the one is showing you the way, it's not yourself, but it's someone else. Nowadays, our young people should follow the way based on what their parents have done so far. Because money, talking about money, the one who constructs a building, what does he have more than you? Because him also is feeding his family. The question is, does the one who constructs a building live with his family? Does he stay in this apartment? Does he drive the vehicles, the expensive cars he has bought? Somewhere, do you think he does not suffering somewhere? Do you think there is nothing that is harming him? I mean, something that he's wondering about and is not comfortable. But at some point, he will not even be able to do it because he has built as a lifestyle whereby he cannot get out of it, even if he really wish. Now, let's assume that I have only 100,000 as a salary, or even 150,000 Kenya shilling. It depends. If I'm just focused on it, I just enjoy that salary that I have. I can cater for my need, I can cater for my family, I will live my life as usual and a very enjoyable life. And this is what our parents are doing. But now, if I want to have a lot of money and yet at the same time I don't want to work, so where am I gonna get that money? So I may get that money, but I will be feeding people who are not interested to work. I may die leaving this money, and these people who did not suffer for that money will waste that money. And when this chain will stop, who will gonna sensitize other people? Who is going now to do something, to build something based on what I've left? No one. And when you go to Europe, you are going to work in Europe for who? Who is the person are you going to work? You are going to work for someone who stay at his home, who is helping to build his country, and who has invested in his own country, who have accepted to stay in Europe. And those are people who struggle in their life to invest, to build their life, their comfort life, and their business where you are going to work. Those are individual people. And when you go there, they will even tell you, you have to work for this years, 10 years. So in short, money cannot give you the happiness you want. Look at, we are here in Nairobi. You have people who came from elsewhere, who came foreigners. You have people in Kenya who are living abroad, who came back. You should ask them how their life was there abroad. You should ask them. Sometimes time, and those people, those Kenyans living abroad, sometimes they were living in a space of a 4-meter square, whereby in their homeland, in their home country in Kenya, they have an apartment of let's say 2-3 floors flats, so it's like they have money, but they are not using that money for their happiness. So the human capital, the first level, it's the first human capital is to reinforce the happiness of individual. I must be happy with my family. I'm not able to see my family. My children cannot see me anytime. I don't see them growing. I'm not even supporting their education. Are they gonna recognize me, acknowledge me as their father? I'm not sure. What did I do? Though I have money, it will like I will become a foreigner in my own family. Is it what we want? We want to have an African family where people have rejected their value, and then so this is what I believe. I'm against immigration. If it was not those kind of workshop, I could not get a passport because I'm a villager man. I'm from the village, so I developed my village. I developed myself together with my family. Everything I have, I share it with my family. And when I will die, the one who want to have money must work, as I did. But I'm not working for others to help others to bring that money, to leave that money to others. No, I have built something for my country, and I've developed. I have trained people. I have empowered the people so that in their turn also they are able to do something for the country. Because for a country to be called a country, to be developed, meaning there are people who fight, struggle for that to reach where we want or where we are. And that sacrifice that they did, there is someone who did something. There is someone even give the name of a village. There is someone who built a tarmac road. And me as an individual, you have to ask yourself, what did I do for my country? If you are given opportunity to address a message to the African diaspora who are still living abroad, who think that Africa is not a place to live, what would be your message to encourage them to come back in Africa using your own word and the way to convince them? Okay, to convince them it will be very difficult, because when someone does not have a conviction about his life, it's quite difficult to convince a such person. But what I say, I'm an African, and I think that all these countries, that African countries, even if we are not really independent, and that's what we are still fighting for, there are people who sacrifice so that those countries, African countries, exist. If today your passport can enable you to enter in some country, it means people fought for it to enable their citizens to access that right of traveling, entering to another country. If today you travel, you go to in another country abroad with the skills, it's because somehow your government invested. Now, if you think that us, we are just a garbage, or think Africa is where you throw everything, you are making a mistake. Countries where you are, those countries where you are living, they are developed based on what they are taking from Africa, because the raw material that they are using in Europe, using in those countries, comes from Africa. We are African. We believe in our development. Whatever it takes, we stay in those countries to develop our African countries. What we have as a profit, what we have as investment, what we have as a return, it's enough for us to live, because life does not need a lot of money to live. It's just to be in a good harmonization within your environment and your people and your community based. We are Senegalese, we are African, and we believe on what we are.